How can the addition of a document camera improve the social studies classroom? A document camera is a very versatile and useful piece of equipment for a classroom. Document cameras are lightweight and relatively small. This makes it easier to store them in a classroom. A document camera will also eventually take the place of your traditional overhead projector. Document cameras also have outstanding clarity. As a teacher, you will be able to show your students a wide variety of objects in great detail. Students will now be able to view 3D objects in full detail and can see live objects in motion on the screen. Every subject in a school can use a document camera for a wide array of things. For our purposes, we are going to focus on a social studies class, but it is important to note that they are just as useful in any other subject. As a social studies teacher, you may have a historical artifact that is very fragile. This is not an item that you would want to be passing around the classroom because there is in all likelihood a risk of it being broken, and then it is useless because it can't be replaced. You can now also share primary documents with your class. These are very important to the social studies classroom because they allow insight into the actual occurrences of the time period. With these primary sources then, a document camera allows one to highlight and make annotations directly onto the document. Maps are also made more useful by the document camera. You can take your picture of a traditional roll-down map and put a copy of it onto the camera. Then you will be able to zoom in on a specific area which you are discussing with the class so that everyone can see. This is especially useful for someone discussing a battle. A teacher will be able to zoom in on a battlefield and show how the troops were positioned and discuss tactics. For instance, students will be able to see the routes traveled by soldiers during the Civil War and see how they progressed through the country on the way to the Union victory. A document camera can save teachers and schools a good deal of time and money. Although this piece of equipment is currently a little expensive, it will pay for itself quickly if used in a school district. It will eliminate the multitude of copies a teacher must make, which takes up a good amount of time. Now teachers can make one worksheet or make one test and just project it up onto the screen for students to work off of. There will also no longer be a need for transparencies. Teachers can still use the ones that they currently have on the document camera, but they will no longer need to make new ones, which will also save a lot of time and money. Another great feature of the document camera is its ability to save lessons plans. This will help absent students a great deal. When a child is absent, they will be able to watch the lesson plan and be caught up quickly without having the feeling of being behind the other students. There are many different models of the document camera on the market today, so we have arranged the 4 most popular models here with the average price to a consumer. The first model is the Epson DC-10S, which will cost approximately $500. Then there is the Elmo Teacher's Tool TT02S, which runs about $690. There is also the AverMedia AverVision 300 AF Plus that costs $700. And just recently put on the market is the Samsung UF130DX that is expensively priced at $2,550.
History is not merely the compilation and memorization of facts, but rather what those facts prove. Proper historical instruction requires the use of primary documents as evidence for historical events. Although the textbook itself is certainly a valuable supplement to the course material, true understanding can only come through the original text of history itself. These sources, called primary documents, include diaries, journals, maps, official documents, public records, personal accounts, building plans, and much more. It is a constant challenge for the social studies instructor to provide and present these essential documents of history to the classroom efficiently and effectively. Utilizing authentic means of historical inquiry in secondary education not only improves the social studies curriculum, but in effect establishes critical and useful skills for use in all disciplines and areas of academics. By utilizing historical inquiry methods in secondary education social studies, Students will gain skills in document and information analysis, interpretation, research skills, and argument forming techniques that are critical for the implementation of successful learning. Primary documents, as the most important medium in history, offer students the chance to evaluate and critically analyze events in history using the historical method. This is truly the best method for gaining a better understanding of the academic process of history. The solution to this dilemma is the implementation of newer presentation technologies such as the document camera to take the place of the vulnerable overhead projector and chalkboard. The document camera allows the instructor to pull resources from books, the internet, primary documents, and any other physical source to present them to the class. The ability to view these primary sources without having the potential of mishandling them increases the expected life of the documents, but still allows the students to actively use them. This advancement in school technology could assist students in recognizing the importance of primary sources and history in general. With the addition of the smartboard, the students could highlight and underline parts of the document without actually harming them. This would allow students to work with the document interactively and assist in classroom instruction. Even projecting student work to the class can also assist in the student understanding of teacher project expectations. To offer an example, suppose a history class is focusing on the causes of the First World War. There are countless primary documents that would contribute a great deal to student understanding of the events behind hostilities that might not be effectively used if not for the convenience and accessibility of presenting them through digital projection to a classroom. A teacher would be able to bring up on the overhead screen, one right after another, and even next to their own highlighted points or comments, documents such as the Zimmerman Telegram, the Treaty of Versailles, war photos, European maps, and many others to serve as the means of establishing student understanding in the process of historical interpretation. In this way, students begin to learn the cause and effects of history rather than reciting the familiar and old list of facts. Just the comparative nature of the split-screen projector adapts nicely to the field of history, which is built upon comparing and contrasting varying accounts of historical events. A dedicated teacher could effectively utilize this piece of technology by presenting primary documents sourced from various books directly to the class, and in the process converting the wasted time of making copies and distributing them to the entire class into a constructive and efficient document presentation. Presenting information to history students in this way will better involve them in the process of analysis, which is key in the historical method. By having the document in front of the entire class, students will be more willing and able to collaborate and contribute in the process of evaluation towards a better understanding of the material. Having ready access to display important and meaningful visual evidence is especially important in the social studies, as students are too often lacking exposure to these critical elements of the discipline and are instead reading and memorizing facts from the text and the board.